Hello everybody, and welcome to your astrology forecast for October 27th through November 2nd of 2024. The major events we have going on here are a grand trine that creates a beautiful energy of creativity between Mercury, the moon, and Neptune. We also have a new moon in Scorpio that is going to be happening that's actually trine to Saturn, which gives it a little bit more seriousness and gravity, but also a sense of reality, being realistic. We also have an exciting, and I think this is exciting, placement of the moon prior to the new moon. And the new moon happens on November 1st. Which means right before the moon, October 31st, that's Samhain or Halloween. It's a celebration of when the veil between the two worlds is very, very thin, which means we can comprehend or understand those things that are not necessarily reality or real or measurable, but our psychic energy will be very, very high. We could be getting a lot of messages from ancestors at this time, which could also include their wisdom as well as their mistakes, since there are some interesting interactions between Lilith and Chiron in particular that will bring up shame of ourselves, how shame has hurt us, how being ashamed of ourselves has hurt us and maybe limited us in a lot of ways, or in some ways how we might be shamed by our past and by our injuries, and how maybe that shame has limited us. So there's a lot of heavy energy that's happening now, since it's mostly happening with Pluto involved and Scorpio involved. Pluto and Mars will be in perfect opposition to each other this week, which will create an intense and extreme reactivity in the air for everybody. Let's get into the specifics though, because I want to go through this relatively comprehensively. And of course, as always, if there are particular birth dates that are going to be impacted, I will let you know. So we have Mercury trine Mars, and it's also Mercury trine Mars trine Neptune. So this is a beautiful energy while Mercury is sextile to Pluto. So this is a beautiful energy for breakthrough thoughts and inspiration and creativity. And this will especially be impacting those of you who are conjunct to Mercury. So those of you who have birthdays later on in Scorpio season. So that would be more toward the mid to end of November. Mars is also in Cancer, so end of 29 degrees Cancer. Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces. So this is a grand water trine. So it's a beautiful connectivity of our instincts, our intuition, our psychic prowess, and creativity that is from that nebulous space, almost things coming out of nowhere, but we'll be able to articulate it because Mercury is involved. Mercury, however, is also in opposition with Uranus this week, and that can cause a lot of problems with technology. It will also drive us to be innovative and want to think outside of the box. The box is not something we want to be stuck in this week. The new moon in Scorpio happens at, that's my dog, I'm sorry guys, at 9 degrees Scorpio. 9 degrees Scorpio, so that will mean it's conjunct to the natal suns. Whoa, if your birthdays are, say, it's between first and second decant. So Halloween, so October 30th through about November 5th, I would say your birthdays are going to be really impacted by this new moon that is trine Saturn. We got to discipline ourselves, the sense of what do we really want in our lives, because whatever you ask into your life on a Scorpio new moon is going to stay there. It's going to stay with you for a while. So there is that sobering energy of, I got to get real. I got to get serious about what I want to commit myself to over the next 6 months until we have that full moon in Scorpio during Taurus season in May of 2025. Venus is square to Saturn, but it's also in opposition to Jupiter. She's sextile to Lilith. All of these energies put Venus in a state of do you really want what you think you want? And are you really putting your energy toward what is really valuable to you? Or are you all over the place still just chasing instantaneous gratification? This is a time to get real and get serious about who you love and what you put your money into, what you spend your money on, what you value, what turns you on. This is when that kind of narrows and you start to realize, I can't be so expansive with being sloppy. So people can actually get a lot more serious at this time when it comes to what they value, what turns them on, what they want to, who they want to be with, etc. Where we've been overindulgent, where we've been a slave to overindulgence, where we've allowed ourselves to get distracted from what has real value and meaning in our lives, is going to become front and center with those placements. And of course, if your natal sun is conjunct to Venus, that would be mid-Sagittarius season. People born between, I would say, November 30th and December 5th especially, are going to be impacted by these topics. Points of interest: Pluto is in opposition to Mars, Cancer and Cancer Leo cusps, Cap Aquarius cusps, Libra Scorpio cusp, Aries Taurus cusps. This is going to make you majorly pop-offish and major reaction. It's also going to make you have a very strong confrontational attitude this week. So if you can direct it and use it, that's really good, but please be aware of it. Don't let it overtake you. Try to utilize it, but enable yourself to breathe. Breathing and grounding for you guys is very important because you want to bring as much consciousness and intellect and pragmatism into your mind, because there is a propensity for overreacting and being more pugilistic. There is also a propensity for more injury to occur. So being super spontaneous or impulsive is not what I would recommend, especially for you guys this week. Yeah, greater increase of injury. So we have a grand earth trine as well. Hold on, especially water threes. I wrote this down. Sometimes I can't read my own writing. We have intense, disruptive, frustrated impulse, extreme. Okay. Grand trine with Moon, Pluto, and Uranus on Monday. So that could be, you'll be stronger when it comes to change and moving on and being done with things. That's already occurred, but that would have been with those of you born toward the end of the water signs. Oh, no. It was grand earth trine. That's when the moon was in Virgo. So you'll have a more serious understanding or grasp of why you need to change and why you just need to move on. That happened on Monday. The moon is triggering a lot of awareness and emotional awareness this week. And the moon right before, I wanted to talk about this. The moon right before October 31st. The moon will square Pluto and Mars and says a square Saturn. Emotions driven by what we understand but don't want to know. Moon in Libra tries to be fair and caring. Where have we been too forgiving, and how has that made us bitter? So this is October 31st. This is Halloween. The things that we know but don't want to know. What makes sense will clash with what we want to be true. Anger is likely. Anger is the disbelief in the reality when you're arguing with reality. So this sense of, but I want to make it work, but I want to make it work to make myself feel better, but it doesn't work. And so it's going to be really important on Halloween for us to get really, truly real with ourselves and to accept the reality that we're confronted with, because anything else will cause a lot of anger. There will be clashes here between what we want to make us feel good versus what we can actually do or what's actually happening. And that can be quite disruptive right before the moon moves into Scorpio and becomes that new moon, which will make us kind of really serious and intense, kind of like that fuck it energy of, in a lot of ways, I only want to let this one thing into my life because of all the bitterness that I've experienced the day before. But that actually works out really beautifully for us because it makes us choose more wisely. We're also more likely to just take things more seriously. Anyone, I said, with Libra 3 placements, this will be very big for you. It will be very difficult, emotional, and angry time for you on the 31st. It could be a lot of clashes, a lot of taking things to the extreme, or feeling a lot of gravitas when it comes to how you emotionally impact people. When the new moon happens, it is trine to Saturn, so it's cool with reality, right? It feels secure in what is, especially in the cool Scorpio. So watch out. This could be the beginning of some people's villain era, and I don't give a fuck anymore. I will be exclusive with what I want to let in my life. Emotions can turn off here, allowing for space of clarity to be incorporated, especially about our dark feelings, what we like to hide. But there's a sense of, I'm not going to be ashamed of it anymore. You know, I'm going to allow myself to want and desire what I actually want and desire, but that's going to be things that are few and far between. It's going to be very specific. Venus, I said, so watch your morals here either way. You're acting out to play out or end those things we haven't been able to let go of, or end in a mature way, because Lilith is sextile to Saturn, to Venus, and Venus is also square to Saturn in opposition to Jupiter. She can be allowing too much darkness because of the feelings of denial and isolation. And when we recognize that and see how destructive that is, coupled with the new moon, we could welcome in things that will make us sick in the future to make us feel temporarily powerful, FYI. So there's a really good energy to the new moon, which is taking things more seriously and only letting in things that are extremely important and not giving a fuck whose feelings you hurt if you leave them out. But then there's also that energy of letting things into your life that are bad for you because you feel that they were denied to you in the past, or that you feel like you're owed in some way. So watch out for the energy of feeling I'm owed this, or I've desperately needed this. How desperate are you for this? Because if you're welcoming things in your life out of desperation, then you're not going to like what you're stuck with for the next 6 months. It's just going to cause you pain. In other words, the new moon in Scorpio could be what the conduit for the sand that hurts the pearl, that hurts the clam to form the pearl. And yeah, we'll be forming pearls of wisdom over the next 6 months, but what kind of pain is that going to cause us? That could be the whole process that we're entering now. And I think a lot of it has to do with our desperation of feeling denied of luxury, denied of love, denied of connection, denied of freedom. The wonderful thing about all this heavy energy is that when the moon enters Sagittarius on November 3rd, there's this beautiful grand trine that happens, and it's almost like a relief of all, like freedom from all this craziness. And you're going to feel more capable of making your own choices and being more independent and being more emotionally open, right, to new things in your life. So don't get yourself stuck on the old fucking shit in Scorpio because you're so angry and aggressive and you've held on to these desires. Don't get yourself stuck in that. Try to remain as open as possible to the new, because as soon as the moon goes into Sagittarius, you're going to feel like a fucking fool for the shit that you tried to manifest or welcome in on the new moon if it was based on old shit that you felt was unfulfilled. Be very, very discerning here and keep your mind open to newness, freshness, and what is actually valuable and will add value into your life, not fulfillment of what you feel like you were robbed of or you have been desperate for in the past. Just an FYI. I love you guys. I'd love to hear the comments down below. Please share this video. I would love to have other people see it. You'd certainly help the channel over here grow. And yeah, I can't wait to hear your comments. God bless. Enjoy your new moon.